Hey guys, welcome back. Woodworking here. I've been wanting to make a video on map awareness for a while, but it's just too big of a topic, so I'll be splitting it up into smaller subtopics that each video will focus on. I know in general from the analytics that YouTube gives me that the average viewer doesn't watch my videos for more than 5 or 6 minutes, so for these videos I am going to try to keep them under 10 minutes. Now that I've wasted 15 seconds, let's get into it. Map awareness is the single biggest thing that separates pros to VG bronze players to POA bronze players. Below that, most players have very little concept of what it is. To me, map awareness is a blanket term that covers a lot of different things. It means general game awareness about things that are constants in every game. Some examples are what time things spawn, how long they take to respawn, how long death timers are, how long it takes to get back to the lane when you port, rotations, the clock, where a good spot to gank from is, where the enemy team is likely to surprise attack you from, how to juggle turret aggro, how many turret shots you can take before dying, just to name a few. But it also includes things that aren't constant in every game. Power spikes, vision, way too much info to cover in one video. So as I said, I'll be breaking it up into many videos. Today's topic is vision. Vision is something I harped on every gameplay breakdown I have done. Good vision can help you beat a team that is better than you. Let me say that again. Good vision can help you beat a team that is better than you. Good vision helps your team make less mistakes. Good vision prevents the element of surprise from the enemy team. Good vision means the enemy will never take the goldmine or kraken without you knowing about it first. Although we'll talk about how you should know when that's happening, even without vision, when I discuss the minimap in another video. Here's a great quote from Sun Tzu that I think is very applicable to Vainglory. When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. If at ease, exhaust them. If united, separate them. Attack their weakness. Emerge to their surprise. A team that attacks with surprise on their side is almost always the victor in Vainglory. So what does vision have to do with map awareness? Vision offers you the most basic and literal meaning of map awareness. If you have mines all throughout the map and can see the enemy movement on the minimap, you can make all the decisions you need to make with full knowledge of their risk or reward. There are 4 types of vision, mines and flares being the ideal form. Certain abilities give you vision, such as Lyra's Imperial Sigil or Flicker's Binding Light, and vision granted around each of your teammates. If you enter a bush, you gain vision of that entire bush and the small surrounding area. The same thing happens if you leave a mine in that bush. Depending on the latter 2 forms of vision is less than ideal. Walking into a bush to get vision of it, especially the later the game goes, is very dangerous for your team. This is often called face checking. If you are the captain on your team and have no flares, you should be the one face checking, not your teammates. But this is a last resort. It should not be your go-to method of vision. So in a perfect game, what should your vision consist of? Mines in every single bush. Flares for each area that has fog of war that is not covered by mines, and flares for enemy heroes that can go invisible. I showed in one of my earlier videos where I like to place mines around the gold mine and in the middle of the map, but let me show you everywhere else that is a good spot. After that we'll talk about flare placement, because I see a lot of people not getting full value out of their flares. One more thing I want to mention before we get into this is that buying a flare gun is not sufficient vision for your team. They don't come up often enough to give your team the vision it deserves. I see a lot of captains, and this is more common as ranks get lower, never buy flares or mines because they know they want to get contraption, and they think buying stuff they will get for free later is a waste of money. Timing is everything. A free mine later doesn't stop your laner from getting ganked in the lane now. A free flare later doesn't help you realize that the whole enemy team is in the tri-bush you are about to face check. You need vision, and you need it from the first minute till the vein shatters. Most people aren't buying enough, and those of you who are probably could buy more. I don't mean so much that you can't afford your core kit, but every time you go to the shop, grab 100 gold worth of vision if you have money left over. If you grab a mine and 2 flares every time you shop, you will give your team a huge advantage over the other team. Vision wins teams games. If you don't believe me, I will say this. You've been trying it your way and it has gotten you to where you are. Try it my way and see where it will take you. Let's get into mine placement. As you place mines in bushes, try to leave them on corners that are the least likely to be walked on by the enemy team. As I talked about in that earlier video, when you place mines in the tri-bush like I did here on the corners that are closest to the gold mine, they are very infrequently stepped on, and they give vision of that whole tri-bush and the gold mine itself, so you'll know when the enemy team is taking it. That mine I just placed there gives vision as the enemy jungler and or captain are headed up to the lane, and that's very valuable information for your laner. To keep the time relatively short, I'm going to speed through the rest of this video. One more thing I want to mention is, I used to place mines near the minion miner in old patches, but now with the crystal miner, you don't really need one there on your side, because anytime the enemy team gets close to your crystal miner, he will attack them, and because he's your teammate, he will give you vision on them. However, on the enemy team's side, that's a very good place to place a mine, near the crystal miner. One more thing I want to say about mines. When your team is down to either one turret that's low or you have no turrets, you need to be thinking about being backdoored by the enemy team. There's a lot of heroes that can jump over these walls in Vainglory, so you need to place mines at the entrance to your base where I just placed one, and then also along that wall so you can see when the enemy team is coming. You need to have time to port back and prevent them from destroying your vein. Let's talk about flares, and for the purposes of education, let's assume I don't have any of these mines placed. I mentioned earlier that a lot of people don't get full value out of their flares when they use them. And what I meant by that is they won't use them on 2 bushes when they have the chance, or they won't use them to cover a whole bush when they can flare a whole bush. So right now you see me flaring towards the tri-bush when I'm coming this direction. And I'm giving you a lot of examples of wrong ways to flare. You can see there, the way I flared, I didn't get vision of that small bush before the tri-bush. So let's show you where I flare when I come this direction. That flare right there, that placement, allows me to have vision of both the small bush next to the tri-bush and nearly the entire tri-bush itself. You should always try to hit that spot when you're flaring this area. When you're flaring the jungle shop, if you put the flare in between both shops, you can have vision of both areas. As you're coming to the lane and you try to hit the mustache bush, try to hit the spot that I'm hitting. It gives you full vision of your side of the mustache bush. If you don't hit that spot, you won't have vision of the top end of the mustache bush toward their side, which is an area people often wait to attack you. You should try to hit the same spot on the enemy's mustache bush, and you can hit that from most places in the lane. You want to have vision of that full bush and the walkway up to the bush when you use a flare. That's what I'm talking about, getting full value out of your flare. Because of the aspect ratio in Vainglory, a lot of times when people need to either flare vertically, up or down, they don't use the minimap to get the flare as far as they could. You can see here, the first flare I threw, I didn't get vision of the whole tri-bush. But if I use the minimap to scroll down on the map a little bit, I can get vision of that whole tri-bush. Don't be lazy. Use your flares properly and get the full value out of them. Here's one more example of not getting full value out of your flares. If you're at endgame and your team is leaving the base and you don't know where the enemy team is, don't just flare one bush if you can flare 2. Put the flare right in between both bushes so you get the most value out of it. There's only one more thing I want to tell you about flares, and that's that if you're in a team fight, and the team fight is very mobile, the enemy team's kiting or your team's kiting, try to keep dropping flares on the enemy team as they move out of range of your vision from being around you, or they move into bushes that you don't have vision of. It can be really helpful for your team to constantly have vision of the enemy. You can know when they're channeling abilities, you can know which direction they're moving. Your teammates don't have to guess what they're doing when they can't see them if you're dropping flares on the enemy team. Look at that, I said I was going to try to keep them under 10 minutes, and I'm already over 10 minutes on the first video. So I hope I shed some more vision on vision for you, I guess is the right way to say that. I hope you guys learned something as always, and I'll see you on the fold.